Welcome to part 8 of the Gravity Colors MP4-30 Ebbro 1/20th scale McLaren project. And today we're going to do a little bit of a tutorial on detailing tires. Now, the nice thing about the Ebbro kit, like I mentioned in the first series that I did, was that the tires come actually pre-printed, which is really nice. At this point, I've coated the wheels with a nice semi-gloss. It's actually a duplicolor lacquer. Actually, it's acrylic enamel in spray that I primed the wheels so that I could block them from getting any kind of crazing. And then I shot them with the acrylic enamel duplicolor black, which goes on very nicely, gives you a nice satin finish. You know, these wheels weren't super gloss on the car, so I did them on the inside and the outside with this semi-gloss black to give them that look. I've also sanded my tires. Basically, it's been done with, this is 400 grit paper. So basically, this was just, you know, rubbed over the top of the tires to get rid of the seams. It's a little bit of a time-consuming project, but it's worth it. And then I just go over the whole entire tire when I'm done, because this stuff doesn't hurt anything. It's just, you know, good old General Family Dollar rubbing alcohol. It doesn't affect the actual pre-printed tires, so I was able to just wipe them down. I did leave the sheen on the outside edge of the tire because the real tires are that way on the cars. A lot of times I used to think that they were flat or had a flat sheen to them, but I've been seeing on the cars as I see them in the races and I watch the races that they actually have a little bit of a shine to them on the outside edge. So I left it there, but of course made them look like they're slightly scuffed, so they've been run a few times on the track with the 400 grit. The next step that I usually do is I find a photo, and I actually have a photo here on my phone that I can show you that I'm going to be using. Now this photo, I don't know what race it's at, but if you look up really closely, it has the left and a little arrow mark for the forward motion of the tire done in a real bright green. We're going to be using just some Tamiya light green for that. Has a little bit of a sheen, but it's not going to matter because the sidewalls have a sheen, so it'll be alright to use this Tamiya X15 light green. I prefer to use acrylics. Don't use enamels. You have to use lacquers or acrylics because enamels will never dry and acrylics will. I'm also going to be doing some batch. You probably can't see it in this photo, but way over here in this corner is a batch number. It looks like it says 1414. I think it's a batch number. I'm not sure. I'm not a big tire expert, but I'm gonna put those on there with a real fine brush using Vallejo model color. I'm just gonna dab it onto this little tin that I have here. I actually use this for doing oils and stuff, but I'll use the other side for acrylic, and I'll be doing that with a tiny little detail brush I have here, which is this guy right here. Super fine. I should be able to do it. So anyways, we'll get started here. Now I'm gonna do the batches first on the tire, the batch numbers. So we're gonna go ahead and get a little bit of this Vallejo out of here, and we're gonna put batch numbers on the tires. I like to mark them up. I don't overdo it. I like it to make sense, or at least have a reference, like I have with that picture I showed you. And I kind of refer back to the picture on a regular basis, so I can see what it's supposed to look like and where it's supposed to be at. So 1414 goes on the inside of the P0. So I literally take the tire and try to duplicate it right where it needs to be. This takes a steady hand and practice. Take your time. That's the next thing you gotta do, is really just take your time. And it doesn't have to be perfect, because the guys that are marking these tires, they do it pretty quick. They're not perfect at it either. But there you go. See? 1414 right there. Now, after I've gotten that done, I'll clean up my brush a little bit. I'm going to do one tire for this video, so you know how to do it. And then what I'll do is I'll do the rest of them later. We don't need to take this video to the next level, but each tire is going to get 1414 on it, and it's going to get some markings like left, front. Usually in Formula One, they do one letter. So you got an L for a left tire, R for a right tire. That's it. They don't do right front, right rear, left front like they do in a lot of other race venues, or so I say race groups like NASCAR. Been doing NASCARs for a long time myself. A lot of you might even know me from that. But marking up the tires there, you always have a right front, left rear, because they're all the same size. There's no need to put left rear, left front on a Formula One car because the tires are staggered. They're different sizes for the front and rear. So now we're going to take this green. Hopefully this will work. I've never used the Tamiya green for this purpose. But again, I'm going to go back, refer to my picture. And kind of get an idea where it's at and try to mark it up exactly like I see it in the photo. This is nifty. Let's see here. This green is quite a bright green. Should do well, but we'll find out in a minute. Might take a couple coats to get it to look nice. But it does work quite well. I like to load up the brush quite a bit with this stuff. Sometimes their arrows that they do are a little funky. They're just a line with a little arrow that kind of curves up the front. Let me get my brush cleaned off a little bit. It's getting loaded up with this Tamiya paint. It's a little thick, but I don't want to thin it because then it won't cover that well. So we'll do this. And then we got an L down here. Looks like it's flipped this way. Yep, it goes just like this. There we go. So that's the way they look. So then I cap it off. Of course, you know, we're going to do each tire this way. But like I said, for this video, for this purpose, we're going to do one. Let me get my water down here. Clean off this brush. And now I've also pre-done here the center caps. Move this out of the way. Now Ebbro tells you in the kit to paint all the center caps a gold color. So I've got, let me see, I got one of them here. There's your gold color right there. I used what I used instead of using just straight gold. I used the Tamiya X31 enamel. Stuff works really well. So I'm going to go ahead and we'll glue one of those in place and see how it looks. Let me get my glue. Extreme Power Glue. This is just like Zap-A-Gap. You can buy it at Hobby Lobby. Works pretty well. It's got gap filling capabilities. Put a little dab of that right in here. see here. Get your tweezers out. Tweezers are always handy to have. Glue it in place. Set it in place. Let it set a little bit. There you go. Now what I'll do for an added touch on these, I want mine to be pre-raced, really clean tires that have been scuffed maybe during qualifying or practice. So what I'll do now, so that they look a little bit more realistic, is I use oils a lot, or I've started using oils. There's a gentleman that I actually build for that has really turned me on to oil paint, which is this stuff, and paint thinner. This stuff works great. But if you're in a pinch and you just need a nice little thin black wash, this stuff is the bomb right here. Panel line accent color. It's meant to do, panel lines to darken them in on models. Light colored cars, red, white, blue. Obviously you wouldn't use it for black because it is black. Comes in different colors. You can get it in like I believe a brown and some other colors, but I prefer the black. This stuff can also be used as a wash, and it's great for that. So what I'll do is I'll take this and I'll run a little, it's really, really thin stuff, and I'll run a little bit of this right along here, and it just fills in the cracks nicely and gives it a little bit of a look that it needs to have. See, it gives it a black, but not overdone. Really nice stuff. So that's what I do on my tires. It's unique. If you can find shots of the actual car at the race it ran at, that's even better for you. That'll give you the exact, you can put the exact placement. I'm a stickler on tire detail. I mean, it adds so much to a model, gives it character. When you do a race car especially, no matter what it is, there is always markings on the tires. If there isn't, it's not a race car that's racing at a track. It might be a show car or something. But a race car always, if you see it sitting on the grid, it's got tire markings all over it. And basically, if you add that stuff on there, it adds so much detail. Now, one thing I haven't covered here, there are decals. Enki is the name of the wheel. Just because I don't want this video to go over too much. But there are decals that Ebbro tells you to put inside the wheels. I will be doing that as well. And you put those on and it adds even more detail. So the more tire decals you have, the more markings you have based on the actual car as it ran at a track, if you got that as a bonus. But this is how I do tire detailing. Acrylic paint is the way to go. Don't use enamel. Enamel never dries. So use acrylic paint or lacquer-based paints. They work the best. Hope you enjoyed this part 8. Next part will be on probably final assembly and cockpit detail. And I got a lot more carbon fiber to do on this car that I haven't covered in the video. I'm not doing this thing, like I said, step by step. So the next one will be on the cockpit, seat belts. I'm going to add some seat belts to this with some photo etch buckle detail. And, more. I got a lot of carbon fiber and clearing to do yet on the suspension components. So the next, probably the next video you see will be the car laid out, ready to be assembled with everything painted and carbon fibered and glossed with gravity clear, ready to be put together. So look for that next video soon. Thanks for watching, guys.